Howdy, folks. If you want to see the story, or my part of the story, of this really nice looking mid-40s L50 turned into a left-handed 150, follow along how I got it from this to this. It's probably going to be a couple of parts. It's a long video. I started this in February. It's now October. And there were, quite a few blips along the way, but here it is. So if that sounds interesting, hang tough and check this out. It's February 14th. I've been chasing this package around since the 31st of January. And I paid $80 for shipping. The USPS has been nothing but a huge pain in the butt. February 14th, I finally get this. After chasing it around for 2 weeks. And the post office claims inclement weather, although the inclement weather didn't come until 3 days after that date. They were going to hold it for me. They weren't going to hold it. They sent it all over the place, and I paid $80 for that. Priority 2-day. That's a freaking joke. Wonder what's in here. All right, well, enough ranting. Let's open this and see what we got in there. Sorry about the background music and noise. Well, it looks like you spared no expense with bubble wrap. That's all the bubble wrap you put in there. Wow. Wow. Why bother? It's just floating around in the box. Okay. Huh. Let's hope it's okay inside. It's a nice heavy-duty case. They forgot to include low priority. If this is priority, I shudder to think what non-priority would be. 16 days past the delivery date. Boy, this bubble wrap is really clear. So I came into the quiet room. Look at this case. This case. Mary! Mary! And I noticed a biohazard! Quick! Get the hazmat suit! It's a biohazard! It's got the deadliest virus known to man on it. Oh, never mind. Well, look at that case. Oh boy. Well, I have not opened this up yet. I'm gonna do it, and then I spared no expense on bubble wrap. Look at that. Why bother? Why bother? Now, let's see what's under here. Whoa! The Gibson L50 that I ordered. Fortunately, the neck, Mary, fortunately the neck has survived intact. So, this is going to be a fun project. Well, now that I've done whining about the packing and the thrashing USPS gave me, take a close look at this before I restore it. or actually convert it and restore it. That bridge is gorgeous. I'm going to make a left-handed version of that. This ugly, it cut right through the bracing. And the top started to cave in, so whoever did it, cut right through both of those X braces. I'm not sure if they were X or parallel braces, but the neck is beautiful. It'll be even more beautiful with more frets. And who restrings like this? This is more prevalent. Look at that beautiful 40s logo. But who leaves this 2-inch spike of surgical steel sticking out for wayfarers, unsuspecting wayfarers to impale themselves on? Not sure if these are the original tuning machines or not. This is a nice, not the V style neck of the 30s, but more the rounder 40s neck. Back and sides are in beautiful shape. You can see where they just hacked through those braces and then put a couple of sound posts to hold the collapsing belly. What I think happened was somebody had hacked into it and put a pickup in there because of this evidence here and this. And then Mary decided she wanted a round hole because the Martin D28 she was playing next to was outlouding her. So I know, I'll make a bigger hole and make the guitar louder. The plot thickens. What's this? Name hidden to protect the innocent. Here's the plan, man. This is a Seymour Duncan replica Charlie Christian pickup. I picked up on eBay, never used. Ah, yes. There it is, nestled back in its original box. Patience, my friend, your time will come. When I was a kid, I lived in a house built in the 1860s, a little older than the house I live in now. And it was at the end of a dead-end road, and they had like a little landfill there where people would dump all their garbage from the turn of the century. And we called it the bottle mine. And I was a kid in the 60s, and I was digging in there, and I found this big light bulb in there. This was in the 60s. This is turn of the century, I'm sure. Probably no newer than the 30s. Well, my first electronic experiment, I went, took it and screwed it into the socket in the cellar. A lot like this socket here. I pulled the string, and look at that. Still working. It worked in my parents' house through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. My mom died in 2016. I decided to take it. And here it is in St. Louis. Still working fine. Yeah, well, all right. I've removed the strings on this sucker and the sound posts, and yeah, this was an engineering feat right here, I'll tell you. I also pulled the jack out of the side, and this gives some people a hint as to the era this stupidity took place in. I'm not sure, but that doesn't look like it happened in the 40s. Grr. So, the first step, I think, is going to be to take this binding off, maybe. My friend, the witness, gave me the idea to work a little acetone and loosen it up, which I did. It's going to come off of there. But I think before I continue on, maybe I can save this binding, which would be really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop some frets out here, because I'm going to refret this. Anywho, that's pretty ugly right there. I don't know if you can see those. Yeah, so I'm going to refret this whole board, fill in those cowboy cord holes. So I'm going to remove the frets. I'm going to remove like 2 frets, 1 fret right here, sorry, 1 fret here and 1 fret here. I'm going to leave the rest. I'm going to put a little hole here, pilot hole for a pin, and 2 pilot holes here. And I'm going to use my trusty ground down end nippers that I've had since I was just a wee lad. Made in USA with US steel. Oh yeah. I just work these in like really, really slow. Start with the edge, just squeak it up. Don't try to take off too big a bite at once, because you just want to work it on up. It's a pretty oily wood. You know, some people do a lot of, oh yeah, heat it up with a soldering gun, blah, blah, blah. Screw that. This is an oily wood. That soldering gun trick, man, it never seems to work for me. It seems like more time and wasted than it's worth. This comes right out. Just gotta go slow and easy. And oh yeah, good thing I used the soldering gun to prevent chip out. Not. And it may work for some people, but why bother? It came out clean and beautiful. Next. It took me all of 10 seconds. Now I'm gonna knock this out of there with my trusty Acme nut buster. There's the nut buster, my banjo mute, my small banjo mute, and I believe that might have been the original nut. I'm not sure. It came off clean. Here's a concept. Put the parts in a bag and put the bag in the case. Why not just throw them all in a bowl with parts from 50 other guitars? Yeah. And there you go. Now, when I glue it back together, it's not going to slide all over the place. It'll just glue down right where it was before. And now I heat up my trusty travel iron for easy fingerboard removal. I hope. Like so. I may stop and remove the frets and see how it comes off. Oops. I forgot. This is mother a toilet seat. Gosh darn it. Well, that's all right. What I'm going to do is pull that binding off, pull the frets out. That one's shot. I'm just gonna make mother of pearl ones, I reckon. This binding is ready to come off. Look at that, just popping right off like nothing. So onward, it's just popping right off like nothing. Yeah, it came off in almost one piece. Just popped it open right there. But that'll be all right. I'm probably going to reuse that. The end piece came out without a mishap, and this side, the passenger side, my driver's side, was missing originally, so oh well. So while I'm heating this side up, I'm going to be removing frets this way, and we'll meet in the middle. Alrighty-o, sweetie. Make sure when you're pushing on this that you always push towards yourself, so when it slips, it stabs you in the hand, which I didn't do, but I've learned the hard way. These are not the original frets anymore. Yeah. Somebody loved this guitar. Look at that second fret. There's no level crown and polishing going to be happening there. Yeah. Well, I didn't have to ruin these yet. The glue was let go, seems like all the way up to there. Onward. And clean as a whistle. Nice. No mishaps. No BS. Just a nice freaking Brazilian rosewood board off in one piece from this nice mahogany neck. Yeah. Now comes the fun part. Well, not quite yet. Got to get that binding off next. Now would be a good time to untravel your trusty plug iron. I mean, you know what I mean. Unplug it. So far, I'm not liking the acetone. It seems to stick it back more than let it go. It's coming off pretty clean without anything. Just going real easy with my trusty palette knife. Adrianna's mom donated this to me. I'm getting it. Look at that. Just gotta go slow. I'm just working like a little prying motion like that. Sorry, hope you can see that. Just going slow. Couldn't quite get that last stubborn piece out, but I did get the whole rest of this thing. All the way around to here where the piece was missing completely. All right, now to get this one. Okay. All right, so I got all the binding completely off. And I see that there's a little, see if I can show that, little gap right there where that top's wanting to come off. Of course, I'm going to save, that piece is off of this broken piece here. All right, so this is going to come off in two pieces here. So I'm just going to start working my way around here real slow. Probably use a little heat up here to kind of loosen it off the end block, maybe. Maybe not, but I can get heat in there without frying this beautiful finish. And yeah, this thing's going on in style now, man. Yeah. All right. One last look. Oh yeah, man, I'm getting excited about this. I know it's still months out, but well, that top is really on there, and I don't want to damage it. So I'm gonna just got this wet paper towel on there, and I'm just gonna let that water soak in there and try and work it loose. A little water, patience. Well, I think what's going on here, it's going slow. I've got about that much, and you know, I started here. I'm using the dull knife, the dull tool, the sharp mine. That's backwards. It's supposed to be a sharp tool and a dull mine. But you don't want to go too sharp here because you don't want to cut into wood. You just want to cut into glue. So I'm just soaking, can't use heat on this, soaking, working the palette knife little by little. I've had that palette knife forever. Trudging across the tundra, mile after mile. So sometimes when you're doing this, you'll get a spot where it wants to travel up, you know, into the top. So my advice there is to stop and come after it from the other side. Just got to do it. The key word here is patience. You know, just put a little water in there, wet rag. I put a little water on the leading edge of the knife as I'm making a movement in there. So I don't know if you can see that, but right in that, right in there, I'm just letting a little pipette of water trickle in there, covered up with the wet towel. Man, my camera work is phenomenal. Covered up with a wet towel, and come back 20 minutes or so. And little by little, that hide glue is letting go. Okay, I've managed to work my way all the way around to the tail block, end block, and no major mishaps. So I'm just going to let some water soak in there. Hell yeah. Okay, well, after 3 days of teeth gnashing, yeah, now I can see the devastation here. Look at that, 1940s. No fear, it's gonna all go back together like it never happened. Right. Here's something you don't see every day. 1940s era carved top and back. That, oh boy. What? No way. Kilroy was here. Here's something that might be of interest. I don't know. I can't really make that out. It looks like a 9.8 and a 1078. It's a lot number, probably. Humph. One more shot of the carnage. So, next step, just glue up all these cracks. And believe it or not, I'm playing those freaking bracing off of there, I think. Yeah, I'm playing the bracing off. I'm going to put new braces out here to accommodate the pickup. If you were wondering what ensconced means, here's an example of something that's safely ensconced. Look at that nice mold. Fits in there really nice. And there you're going to sit while I work on the top. Sorry, sweetheart of the blues. Geez, sometimes finding a nice fat piece of spruce is not the easiest thing in the world. I found this. This was actually put aside from a Strat, Snow White. Chewy has it now. Strat body that I made. And yeah, I split this in half with a bandsaw. And now I'm going to put it together like that. It's going to just be big enough to plug the hole. And here's the start of the carving the base of the bridge. Alrighty. The sharp tool and the dull mind at work. Alright, there's the rough shape. I'm going to get my little curved gouge now, and I'm going to put a nice curve in there like the original one. And then when I get ready, I'm going to have to fit it to the top. Piece of cake. Isn't this amusing? And here's some progress with my curved chisel, or gouge as some people call it. So I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit. I'm halfway on the other, starting on the other side, and then I'm gonna just get in there with some nice sandpaper and smooth it all out, make it look pretty. And so far I'm pretty happy with that. That's the top of the base, the top of the bottom. Is that like being down to your uppers? Progress. Man, it's hard getting in there. Keep going. First crack glued. Man, this stuff is time consuming. And I tried several different clamping arrangements, and it turns out this one set just right is the way to go. Wow. Meanwhile, here's the plug that I'm going to use to plug that hole with. Nice quarter sawn spruce. Going to go right in there. Alright. And here's the other crack that split right at the neck block. Glued that up. And yeah. Alrighty. Here's some more restoration of the belly. And you can see here I started to chisel some of that off. And Gibson cheated. They cut little notches in there to bend their bracing. I'm not going to do that. Once again, my buddy Chewy gets a call out. There's a piece of spruce that I had left over when I made Snow White, my spruce-bodied Stratocaster. And I knew I was going to use this for bracing at some point. So here you go. Here I am carving off the braces. I noticed that these braces are not symmetrical. It's kind of interesting. So this one here is a little bit more this way. This one's a little straighter. Anyways, when you cut, don't just push it this way. but slice it like a knife. That's the first thing. So you just kind of, and make sure your tool is sharp. And the other thing, don't push towards your hand while you're holding the piece. Clamp it. Otherwise you're going to be pushing that sucker right down to the bone. You don't want to do that. Yeah, so all right. So what I did was I carved that brace down to a nub, and then I soaked the remaining with water, and it just, the rest of it just kind of scraped right off of there with the hide glue. So now I'm soaking this one onward. Yeah, like that. That's gone. It's flat. Next step is I'm going to figure out what kind of shape I'm going to cut this into. Probably a pentagram. I'm going to cut it a little more uniform before I go ahead. This is straight across, pretty much. And a little more uniform before I make the plug. Alrighty, so here's the pusillanimously proposed plug I'm going to place permanently in this guitar. I had a nice piece of spruce, but I didn't, it was a little bit bigger than, the hole was a ragged hole that was a little bit bigger, so I had to add this. Is going to be under the fingerboard, so it'll be fine. Got some nice grain here, so it's a 4 1/4 inch circle. I thought I needed 4 inches, but turns out there's one ragged corner there that Mary, in her zeal, overextended herself with her chainsaw when she was cutting that hole out. Now Mary, it's rumored, measured it with a micrometer, marked it with a piece of chalk, and cut it out with a chainsaw. So I'm going to do the same thing. So far I've cut it out with a chainsaw, and I'm going to make it the way I want it, and then fit it into the belly, much like a piece of inlay, with coaching from my pal, The Witness. Thanks again, Mr. Witness, or should I just call you The? Alrighty. Alright, I've got this circle centered and drawn here to take in all the globules that Mary cut out. Here's the centered, pretty damn good. I want to double check it, but all right, that looks pretty good. Okay then, moving onward. All right, get that marked out. Now I'm going to employ my Fordham shaft with a sanding disc on it. That's what I'm going to do, George. Well, for better or worse, my bucket no longer has a hole in it. What? I said for better and worse, my bucket no longer has a hole in it. So there it sits, broken-hearted. Came to beep and only beep. All right. Nice. All righty. It's not perfect, but what is? My tools du jour for carving down the top. Got to sharpen them up. Okay, started carving, and I'm going to actually, after I get this down, I'm not going to waste much time tuning the top, but I do notice that once this is glued in, the top is deader, even than when there was a hole in here. It had still has sort of a nice ring to it, but I'm not going to really try to tune this top because I'm cutting a hole back in here for the Charlie Christian pickup. Anyway, this is the start of this. I got this nice gouge sharpened up a little bit. Not too bad. I'm going to keep hitting it on my oil stone. Yeah, so when you're carving, you're going to find that there's a way the grain goes, and then there's a way that it will cause tear out. In this case, I'm going this way, and it's peeling up nicely. If you go the other way, it'll keep diving deeper into the wood, and it'll rip out more wood than you want. So you don't want that. So just once again, a sharp tool and a dull mind wins the race. I've said it before. This is a quote from L.A. Jones. It's a mess till it isn't. So I got this carved down inside and out, and now I'm just gonna hit it with, I'm gonna tape this off with a double row of tape and just sand this down. And meanwhile, I need this. It's gonna go right in there somewhere. Uh-huh. Yep. Patiently waiting to make some sounds. Oh yeah. And while I was trying to fall asleep last night, I took the liberty of switching this around. So the notch is left-handed now. Ha, ha, ha. So I'm sanding this down, and it's going to be good. Unfortunately, I'm not like the Clintons where I can make the witness line just disappear. So that's always going to be there, even with the finish on there. It's going to just kind of, you know, it is what it is, Mary. When you murdered this top, you created witness all the way around here. So it'll be better, and once I put the pickup in and sunburst it, it's going to be better. But the witness is never going to completely disappear here, unfortunately, unless even if I refinish the whole top, there's going to be a seam there, and I'm not about to refinish the whole top. So there. Here's my template for routing. You know, what I don't understand it, I bet they installed all this stuff before they, I mean, I would not want to be the guy that's trying to feed these screws through the hole. And I guess, you know, and install all the electronics through, I guess you could do it through the F hole and this hole. But what a, I mean, the electronics, yes, maybe, but this pickup, getting that screw in there, what a pain. They probably had some kind of thing in production if they didn't install the top first. Next thing I got to do is measure from here to wherever this node is, and that's going to determine where the center of this pickup is going to go. I'm going to do that on my other guitar and hope for the best. Getting warmer. Well, for better or worse, there it is. Well, look at that. Is it perfect? No. Do I care? Refer to above answer. That is really close enough for who he's for. Oh yeah.